it's live. Like, it is. Nobody's here yet because we just went live. See what's going on. What's today? More Wednesday?
No, it's Thursday. It's close to Friday.
Like Friday?
Yes.
Why?
Because let's go on Friday. Well, it's going on Friday, which means close to Saturday. We have to go.
Yeah, yo, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What is it? El Boki? What up, what up? All art is mental. So, oh, Superfly 2027, y'all be catching us? What up, Simon? What's good? What up, what up? Deja, what's happening? All right, so we're gonna talk real fast about what up, Bruce? We're gonna talk real fast about Neptune. Adrian, what up? Neptune, the planet of deception, the planet of spirituality, the planet of drugs and alcohol, the planet that deals with absolutely the dopest, one of the highest aspects of your mind, which is, I call it transcendental consciousness, man. Neptune is dope. And so it's the part of our minds that represent the imagination. Neptune is literally the imagination. And so, as with all planets, they have what we would call more positive meanings, and then they all carry some form of negative type of meaning as well. And so, Neptune on the low side is very nasty. Because it can represent deceit, it can represent drugs, alcohol, people lying, just a lot of secret enemies type of vibe. It represents jail, confinement, mental asylums, that type of thing. And yeah, imagination is God for sure. And then, like I said, on the high side, it represent, the ability. To me, in my opinion, I think transcendental consciousness is one of the higher levels of enlightenment. Meaning, when you can accurately receive information about the future, whether it be a dream, intuition, a vision, however it comes to you, that's dope. Because literally it like just, it happened, quote unquote, before our timeline of reality. So if there's a place called the divine world, I give Neptune that. Now, if you ever start getting into the tree of life diagram in Kabbalah, they give these spears, these 10 energetic spears, planetary bodies and whatnot. I don't know if you ever seen a tree of life. I'll see if I can draw one. I ain't mess with the tree in a minute. Yeah. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it kind of look like this diagram right here, the tree of life. And all 10 spears represent a planet. Everybody is in here. Okay, the Earth is in here. Pluto's not in here, but they give these spears. They give these spears planets, and it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. I don't know if you can see this, but number 1 and 2 sometimes changes. All right. What up, King? So number 1 and number 2 sometimes changes. Everybody else, number 3 is always the same. Number 3 is always Saturn. Number 4 is always Jupiter. Number 5 is always Mars. 6 is always the Sun. 7 is Venus. 8 is Mercury. 9 is the Moon. 10 is Earth. So 1 and 2 always change, as if there's a slight discrepancy on who should be at the top on the crown. And I think, without a shadow of a doubt, is Neptune. 1, it rules the last sign of the zodiac. So it's the seal of the will. And then when you understand that Neptune is all mystical, the only physical thing Neptune is, to a degree, is music and movies. But even music and movies are playing out something that's imaginal. But then again, everything on this plane is playing out something that's imaginal, right? Because it's stemming from an idea, some aspect of consciousness. And so the position of Neptune when you're born starts to give us great insight into some areas of your life. And so Neptune is a generational planet, because on average it could take about 14 years to go through one zodiac sign. So there's a whole group of people in 14-year blocks. That's why they call it generational planets. Groups of people in 14-year blocks that will have the same Neptune. So I'm in that block that got Neptune and Sagittarius. And this is interesting because Neptune is spirituality, Sagittarius is philosophy and religion. So if one is spirituality and the other one is philosophy and religion, they go together. So quiet is kept, it's not talked about, but Neptune is exalted inside of Sagittarius. That generation of people, Neptune and Sag, will have a great ability to be able to understand philosophical subjects and spiritual matters. This is why you start to see, in my opinion, this block of people, they don't traditionally really deal with religion like that per se. They're a little bit more open to different philosophies and spiritualities, right? Spiritual practices and whatnot. And so this 14-year group of people is all going to have Neptune in the same sign. However, everybody's going to have it in a different house. And it may be in different combination to planets, which starts to give a little bit more insight into what's going on or how to tap into it. And so for sure, you absolutely want to pay attention to the house that Neptune is in when you were born. Again, a house simply translates to mean what area of space is the planet in when I was born. Is it in the eastern portion of the sky, the southern portion of the sky, the west, or the north? Okay, these portions of the sky is kind of like you're going outside or drawing a circle, and then you divide the whole direction of 360 degrees up evenly, 30 degrees apiece, and you're going to get 12 sectors of space. That's what the 12 houses are. So when you go into look inside of your own birth chart and you see the houses on paper, please understand that that's just a 2D model of a 360 degree model of space that's around you. And it's literally talking about an area of space, okay? And so since Neptune, with all planets, I think the key to interpretation is, of course, understanding the basic keywords of planets, and then know some positives and know the negatives, okay? Now, Neptune is the planet of deception and trickery, and so don't let what's called the aspects fool you. So the aspects are, if you look at your own birth chart, you're going to see lines going from one planet to another planet. Those are called aspects. Those are what we will call angular communications. Okay, and so let's just say Neptune square this, you're going to see a red line. Neptune's in opposition to something in your chart, you're going to see a red line going from Neptune straight across to whatever it is that's straight across from it, right? You're going to see blue lines, which could represent a trine, or a short blue line will represent an opportunity. The long blue line represents ease, okay? And you know, these aspects are angular communications that are coming from one planet to another planet. And on the external level, you really should, I would say, adopt the what they would call Greek ideology, in the sense of understanding that it is one God, planetary body, in communication to another planetary body. But these gods are really inside of you, because remember, out of these 12 signs, that if we open up your skull, you're going to find out that you have 12 cranial nerves. Okay? Again, this goes back to the great riddle of Jesus was buried at Golgotha, the place of the skull. So the skull and Jesus having these 12 disciples is also symbolic for an internal process, because the crown is around his head. And so it's an internal process of these 12 cranial nerves that sit inside of you, which happen to correspond with the 12 zodiac signs. But you can also you can also find out that you have 12 bodily systems. Some you will see 11, but they're not. If you see 11, that's because they're not including the immune system itself as a bodily system. But if you include the immune system, then you have 12 bodily systems. So that's the external universe, once again, being the mirror of the internal process. So Neptune is the part of our own psyche that wants to deal with the highest aspect of consciousness that we can absolutely perceive. And so Neptune is about the illusion, but it's about shedding the illusion of yourself. Right? It's when you can get into, I never forget, man, I'm telling you, to get into these Kriya Yoga meditations, and you just practice and practice. And even if you're not a master at meditation, starting to put yourself in the zone of practicing, okay, you start to expand consciousness. Because all meditation is you slowing down the brain wave. And when you slow down the brain wave and you start to make the wave deeper and more relaxed, more coherent, as we call it, you become relaxed. You're bringing in more oxygen into the body. More oxygen is firing the neurons in your brain, which is now making your brain cells literally making your brain have more capacity. The moment that your brain starts to get more capacity, you're going to start to be able to have these extra sensory perceptions turned on, i.e. psychic visions and things of that nature, okay? So then your dreams may become more lucid, but you just have to simply practice. Just practice. It ain't no right way, wrong way, just sit down and practice. And so I'm sitting there, I remember practicing, and I used to do the meditation like 30 minutes before it was time to pick my children up from school. And I'm sitting there, sitting there, meditating. And I remember my daughter's friend popped up at my meditation as if I was out of the house, right on the side of the house. She was right there. And weird. And when I came out of meditation, I had to go get my daughter, from school. The little girl was exactly right there. You know what I'm saying? I never forget that, another time, wife had came out the pantry. And it was like, the pantry wasn't even a walk-in pantry. It's just one of those joints that you open it and it has shelves in it. And then when that was it. You open it and it just got shelves. But she was out of town at the time. And she was eating some cookies. And next time that we talked on the phone, she's like, boy, these cookies are so good. And I said, oh, snap. So I was getting into this practice of just sitting within self, transcending ego, because that's what Neptune is. Neptune really wants you to transcend the ego, but the ego is self. It's just for you to, that part of you that say you can't meditate, the part of you that says you can't expand and transcend consciousness, that gives you that fight, that's the ego. That part right there and whatnot. And so anyway, Neptune in the houses in conjunction with Neptune's angular communication with the planets will start to give you a great deal of insight of how to tap into spirit. Neptune has an energy where it's, when it rules Pisces, it's about either A, being a savior in a sense, or it's going to be a victim and wants to be saved. It plays victim a lot, right? That's the part of you that you're a victim. The high side is you just got some great insight and you help people, okay? Neptune is interesting because too, you know, Pisces, 12th house, Neptune, all the same frequency, represents self-undoing. And self-undoing is self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is dangerous. I never forget the first time that I ever recognized it in human behavior outside of myself was back when Making of the Band was on, the first one with Fred in Miami, and you know, Dylan and Chopper from New Orleans and them. And so you know, Lil Fred from Miami, they was like, yo, we in New York, man, we made it. And he's like, man, cut me, and hung up. And it was like he couldn't make the transition from the hood to live out something that he signed up for, you know, with Making of the Band. And I just thought that was like, damn, what was that about? That shit, literally, I can remember it. Stuck with me. And so the part of Neptune where it's at, it will start to give you insight on potentially where you would self-sabotage yourself based upon what the house that is in. Okay. So for example, just to give you some insight on building a planet, I was born with Neptune in the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of service and day-to-day work and habits, things that you do every single day, along with health as well, right? So let's look at it from the working perspective, because the 6th house starts to give you insight about your job, because it's day-to-day job, right? And so, what are you doing, little girl? So Neptune represents hospitals. I've worked at a hospital before. It represents spirituality. So now it's interesting for me that my day-to-day gig, that you would call it, is, you know, I've created an astrology membership years ago and take 3 trips, you know, 3 times a year, bare minimum, on the spring equinox, summer solstice, fall equinox. Y'all see pictures, you know, we do that. You know, taking people, whether it's Sedona, Mount Shasta, the Blue Mountains of Carolina, tapping into the sacred vortex energy of America and riding that wave, and understanding that, I always say this, if America is the biggest physical superpower, you best understand it's the biggest spiritual power too, because the spirit is the invisible that animates the physical. So therefore, it must be something spiritually that's popping inside of the United States. And oftentimes we don't know what that is, because we think exotic vacations is Caribbean blue islands, and it is, and whatnot. But there's certain vortexes of energy all over the United States of America that, you know, we tap into. So anyway, spirituality has really have been my day-to-day journey, far as what my job is, you would say. So I guess today they call it a life coach, philosopher, author of a book, podcast, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Neptune is in the 6th. That's the 6th house is your day-to-day function, your habits. So when you got a planet there, then you're probably more than likely to tap into that energy wherever, you know, if a planet is inside of that particular house. And so then spiritual work could be what it's all about. So then the 6th house also deals with healing and health. And then Neptune is this mystical thing, right? So, you know, whether it be from, you know, helping people through hypnosis or past life regression, right? Because Neptune is super conscious or transcendental consciousness, transcends your regular conscious. And then we're able to go in and tap into that Akashic record that's really inside of your brain and your hippocampus, and get that memory to show up and you get to see it. So my point is, even dealing with healing, I wouldn't approach it in the regular way, because Neptune represents mystical. So it's a mystical healing ability if I decide to tap into that. You see what I'm saying? So the position of Neptune in your chart is your mystical power. Ooh, I'll say that again. Wherever Neptune is at in your chart, that is your mystical power. And you can start by understanding the house that it's in. You must know your time of birth. And then you start to get into, okay, your mystical power will be, right here. So like King Simon says, look, I got Neptune in Scorpio. So he's a generation before me. So I got Neptune in Scorpio, which could be mystical sex. So everybody know like King Simon got like 32 children right now, right? And so that's mystical sex. Then you can see the ninth house could be something dealing with philosophies, higher learning. And so then we can say, well, shit, Neptune in the ninth house, man. It's something dealing with philosophy. You know what I mean? Like, what do you teach with spirit and philosophies? Then you can say, oh, shit, King Simon is the numbers guy. He's the one that deals with numerology and starting to deal with that. You see what I'm saying? So, that's his mystical, philosophical contribution based on Neptune in the ninth house. You see what I'm saying? So, wherever Neptune is at, the house per se, it will give you insight to your mystical powers. Now, here's the key though, so you can learn how to spot your secret enemies. Very important. And so, if you have planets in opposition to Neptune or square Neptune, okay, that will be a problem in your life. That's a problem. So you want to understand the planet that's in opposition or the planet that's giving this friction. This is why I like my charts on astro.com, is because the chart is very clear and it's color coordinated. So it's red lines and blue lines or a dotted green line and a dotted black line. But the red and the blue are the majors, and the dotted green is considered to be medium, but the dotted green is really a major too. But as of right now, they give the dotted green a medium type of flavor. And so these red lines denote whether it's cool or whether it's a little friction, period. Red is friction, blue is we all right. So if you got red lines going to your Neptune, then that starts to give you some insight that, okay, this is where I could be deceived from. So let's just say classic Venus is at odds with Neptune. Venus represents a relationship. So for men, that could be, a relationship that you with a woman, something's about deceptions taking place. Now here's the kicker. Either you're doing the deceiving or they're deceiving you, right? And so, you can see that relationships that's going to be a problem. But also, let me back up too. Because say, for example, because King Simon got Neptune in the eighth, and the eighth house is inheritance. When people die, they can leave you money. Since Neptune represents secret enemies and deception, somebody could lie to Simon, depending if he got red lines, especially if his moon or sun is involved. Somebody can lie to Simon about one of his parents leaving him some money, and they try to steal it from him, because Neptune on the negative aspect is deception. So in the eighth house is people that's going to leave you money. So when you got Neptune associated with your finances, the second house, the eighth house in particular, then you really want to kind of look out there, because Neptune can get you. All right. And so looking at the planet on the other side that's giving Neptune this friction, that's going to the red line. So if it's Mars, then it could be, oh shit, this is it's that warrior type of energy. It's a masculine type of energy. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a male that's going to be doing the deceiving in a sense, right? So you got to watch this and whatnot. If it's the moon, it could be your mama is a drunkard. Your mama was on drugs and alcohol or something. You know what I mean? The sun could be your father was on drugs and alcohol. Your father is lying. Things of that nature and whatnot. All right. And so this stuff starts to give you some terrific insight when you understand the angular communications from one planet into another one, right? So Uranus conjunction with Neptune. So you probably with them 90 babies and whatnot that got that Uranus Neptune flow with one another. And when those two start to roll together, man, that's like, because both of them are heavy hitters. These are big boy innovative thinkers and transcending regular consciousness and stuff. So they're like super duper mental. super duper mental. All right. So the first house again just really deals more with your appearance, but I call the first house the house of self. You have to do that first because all the houses are numbered. So if they're numbered, then everything is in numerical order of priority of what you must learn and what you must do, in a sense. So the first house is no ignoring that. That's the house of self that is ultimately you. You gotta invoke those things, which means you gotta think outside of the box, be different, have great friendships, right? Even you possibly utilize technology to help you. That's all of that stuff is Uranus. Then Neptune has maybe it's music. So maybe you like music and technology. Oh snap, you got some type of new music app that's coming. Something like that. Or if it's more mental, then it's okay then it's more of the spirituality and things of that nature and thinking outside of the box and with it. All right. So Neptune in the 10th, we talking that's your house of career, also could be the house of daddy, right? Because it'd be deception with the father, or it could be deception with authorities. On the high side, though, it really represents success, though. You know what I mean? So then you could be successful in spiritual endeavors because the 10th house is the highest portion of the sky, known as the zenith. And when the planet is rising and it's at the top portion of the sky, well, that's your crown. Your 10th house is your crown, straight up. And so the closer a planet is to the MC, the midhaven, then because the midhaven is your crown, that planet wears the crown in your chart. So who is the highest elevated and whatnot? So if you got Neptune in the 10th, then you can be very successful in spiritual endeavors. You can have a career working in some type of hospital, some type of hospice type of field, or even music if you into music. You know what I mean? Because Neptune is mystical like that. The perfect Neptunian energy, I always say it every single time, I think is Erykah Badu. She's the personification of what Pisces look like. And see, it's that trickster energy. It's 1 minute it's dreadlocks, then it could be 7 years I fooled you, that was a wig. You know what I mean? It could be something like that. It's just different, mystical in its own right. All right. So yeah, Neptune in the 5th, you can have lion children, right? Children dealing with drugs. So watch that, especially if you got red lines going to Neptune in the 5th. All right. But the 5th is your house of art and creativity. This is your house that you get on the stage and you cool with being, it's theatrical role play. So Neptune being in the 5th, this gives you, this is great for writing a film or a play, a playwright, a story or something like that. That's super good for that. Children can be very mystical as well. So if you have children and they're interested in meditative sounds and things of that nature, because Neptune is the ocean. It's the god Poseidon, the seas. So if you go into the African thing, that it could be an Oshun or a Yemenya type of vibe. So whatever your ideology is, you can correspond the sea principle with Neptune, and then you say, you know what? Let me start playing these meditative sounds for these children and whatnot, and they rock out with it. So Neptune in the 5th is pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope. Give you a lot of creativity. It's the spirit of film, for sure. Katrina said Neptune and Sag in the 12th, squaring Moon in the poles of Mars. Shit, girl, you got T-square like a mug. So in the 12th, opposing the Moon, so your mama potentially could be your secret enemy and mad at you or something. Or you can deceive mommy, one of the two. Neptune in the 12th, opposed the Moon, super psychic. Super psychic. And I will also say, Katrina, you have to be super duper careful on who you allow to read your energy, because the Moon and Neptune are very similar. They're very, very similar because they deal with the psychic vibrations of the human mind, and they both have this affinity with water. Think about it. If Neptune is Poseidon, the god of the sea, and the Moon has a gravitational pull on water, then trust me, they're buddies. And so it's like your Moon is mad at Neptune. There's opposition taking place. And so you're the kind of person that if you went on a spiritual retreat with like women and stuff, somebody could be jealous of you, and you absolutely I wouldn't advise you to drink anything, because see, water, Neptune is water and the moon is liquids as well, because the moon rules the lymphatic system, which is the liquid system in the body. So I wouldn't drink things from women on a quote unquote spiritual Neptune. That's the disguise, the spiritual thing, because someone can be jealous of you and try to poison you to keep it a buck with you. You know what I mean? That's extreme worst case scenario. But you want to know your worst case scenarios, because you don't never want to be caught off guard. Know what's up. So, I will watch that factor, which also could mean, Katrina, it could mean that you abused your spiritual powers. So it's imperative with Neptune in the 12th, because Neptune is at home in that position in the sky. So it's very strong, very psychic. I bet your intuition is like crazy at times. If not, you absolutely need to work on it, because it's supposed to be clicking. So honesty is your best friend in this incarnation, and doing things that are right. And if the moon is in the 6th house, because Neptune's in the 12th, if it is, then you absolutely need to be a part of some type of charitable organization that potentially deals with women and drug abuse, because Neptune is drugs, and then the moon is female, and the 6th house is charity. So you can offset some of that negative vibes that you were born with by participating in some type of charity that deals with women in abuse. Because even like you said, square Mars, Mars is the physical abuse. So you can help women that's either chemically abused, or from drug abuse, or physical abuse. So it'd be great for you to participate in something like that, whether it's creating your own nonprofit, or you just going and donating your time and money and making a conscious effort to always be involved with helping that, so you can loosen up some of that negative karma. And I'm glad you said that, because see, here's the thing, because um um we are born with these energies, right? And so if we say, yeah, Sarah, it can. Neptune can represent an absentee parent, because Neptune is mystical and illusion and gone, disappear, poof. And then if it's in combination with the sun, daddy, moon, mommy, then that parent can be gone. Absolutely great observation. But see, we're born with these energies. So even with Sarah's question, with Neptune in combination with the moon, let's just say the parent can be gone, and the parent is gone. Like, is it the parent's fault, or is it your experience? Because we can look at your experience and be like, yo, don't do that, because XYZ is likely to happen. And then you just live in life and XYZ happens. You know what I mean? Like, I never forget, like I told a person years ago, like, hey, it was on a report and they didn't get my report. And I was like, hey, be careful. You can be on an accident on this particular day. That day came, bam, they was in an accident. Never read my report. And so my question then would be, as a scientist, is, okay, well, shit, how did the energy find you? That's the question, because it got to be you. It got to be you, because it happened to you. And then I'm telling you what's going to happen to you, and then it happened to you. So it has to be you, because I'm looking at you. You see what I'm saying? So then that absolutely must mean that we are radiating cellular signals. But it makes sense, because we got cells. Trillions of them, we are told. So if we got trillions of cells, and you got energy, you got breath, you got heat, you got whatever, you got energy, then you got a energetic signature. We just don't know what the energetic signature of the day is. That's our problem. We know we energy, but we don't know if we good energy, and we don't know if we bad energy. And we can say we don't know what kind of cosmic energy we have. Shall we say that? That's what I'll say. And so therefore, that light mingles in with that field that you broadcasting, because you are an antenna. You constantly thinking, sending signals, and you constantly receiving thoughts. So you send and receive. the human being is an antenna, right? And so you send in the signal. So now that signal has to come back. We have to be very conscientious of the signal that we're broadcasting. And the chart starts to tell you like, oh, okay, you know, Neptune issues, then you need to work on XYZ, right? Giving with no reward. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. All right. Bop, 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 bop. Hey, what up, Anwar? What's good with you? Moon in the second house. Libratron, Neptune in the fifth. Moon in the second. Moon in the second, so one must be early and one must be late to pick up that Tron, because normally those two square. But that's great. I mean, Moon in the second, Tron and Neptune in the fifth. The Moon in the second is a strong placement because it's giving emphasis, a strong emotional connection on your possessions and what you value and money. To trine Neptune will give, you know, it's real easy for you to, the law of imagination really works for you. I mean, it's easy for you to be able to do imaginal scenarios and things of that nature, vision boards and things of that nature, and really manifest faster the way your energy is set up. So I would definitely work that. And then who said that? The moon could be a female, and Neptune trining that in the fifth, giving you support. So Neptune and spirituality, you want to make sure that the female energy and the subject of spirit is on the same plane. Because if you got them supporting each other, then you don't want to physically have something that don't mirror what you physically have as something that's supposed to be really a good marker. So you want to make sure the subject matter of spirit and finances are, because Libra is the relationship and the moon is the woman. Second house is the money. In conjunction with Neptune is the spirit. So all of those things need to be on the same page, partner. For sure. You know what I mean? Oh, for real. See, Katrina was like, I'm a psych and addiction nurse. I'm learning to trust my intuition more. Right. Wow. See, yeah. So that's what that energy is. And that's why you're in that field. You know what I mean? So you could also, you know, just help people with crossing over, hospice type of feel as well. It's a very spiritual type of thing. And again, it's a strong, very strong psychic ability, Katrina, that you have. So definitely hone in on that. All right. True and Living God 1, 21673, 216. Aquarius, man, Aquarius. I'm not pulling up no charts. Usually people will start telling me what they got, True and Living God. People will tell me what they got in there, and then we just kind of build off of that situation, man. So if you got a chart in front of you, pull it up. You can go to astro.com. It's free. Plug in your information, subscribe to the channel. When I do these live joints like this, you can just say, oh yeah, notice I got Neptune in the 8th. What's that about? You know what I mean? And then we can build the dialogue. But I'm not physically punching the data in myself. You know what I mean? Neptune in the 12th house, Sag, conjunct ascendant. Yeah, so Kate Brooks, you know, again, Neptune in the 12th is at home. So if it's very close to your ascendant, you know what I mean? That planet was rising on the eastern horizon when you were born. What time is it? I see, because I got to pick the boy up. Find out for me, please. You know, that planet was rising. So that rising energy is like super duper strong and permeates the physical body faster than any other of the cosmic energies around us. That eastern location is very sensitive because technically it's the point of the earth. The earth is turning in a leftward direction at all times, what we would call turning towards the east. So therefore the Muslims pray facing the east because it looked like the sun comes up in the east, but the truth is the sun is rotating. I mean, the earth is rotating in that direction. What time is it?
2:20.
2:20. All right. And so it's rotating in the eastward direction. So therefore, that eastern point of the horizon, kind of like when the sun first breaks its light, or anything coming up. If you notice on a full moon, if you can catch a full moon in the eastern portion of the sky, when it's coming up, it's super duper big. And then as the night progresses and it moves to the south, it gets smaller. And so that energy on the eastern horizon permeates the physical body faster than any other energy, because we're traveling in that direction and we hit that first. Hence, the ascendant starts the first house. So the kicker is with Neptune on the first, man, it's just like, dude, it's, on the ascendant, it's just like, hey, man, you're just super duper shit. It's like Neptune rising. You're just super spiritual, super psychic, clairvoyant. Watch out for secret enemies. You could do, you can do mystical music. You can do a great deal in this realm of psychic work. You could, and when I say psychic work, you can either perceive things or you can project great mental energy towards people, for the betterment of their own good. You know what I mean? So a strong mental player when it comes to the mental, spiritual, psychic phenomenon when you do that, man. You know what I mean? Especially in Sag, because Sag, once again, is going to be the philosophy. So Dark Truth, you like King Simon, man. Neptune in the eighth house. Powerful. That's very powerful. But be careful, because Neptune too represents like Neptune is kind of weird, man. So in the eighth house, that's sex. So sometimes Neptune could be some type of nasty, watery type of disease in a sense, right? So you got to be real careful when you're dealing with Neptune and making sure that sexual interactions are clean. On the high side, you will have a great ability to. The eighth house wants to penetrate the truths and wants to get to the bottom line of thing. And Neptune is spirituality, so it makes way for a great spiritual student. And then it deals with joint finances, sharing money. So, like I shared earlier, that if you got any red lines going to your Neptune, um, then somebody could lie to you about an inheritance. So somebody dies and leave you money, and then the siblings or somebody else is acting like you ain't getting no money, and your name is really on the will. So when it comes to the eighth house, and Neptune's involved with the eighth house, and y'all hear me closely, Saturn too. If Neptune and Saturn is connected to the eighth house, then you want to absolutely take care of that kind of business. So make sure mom and dad got y'all name on something. You know what I mean? Make sure that you could be in a situation where you can receive it and you know what's what. Because then you end up in probate. The eighth house is probate. Okay. And then once it's there, it's a process. So this is where we got to learn how to start dealing with this kind of stuff way beforehand. It's part of the reason too why I also created the new membership called over at the Prosperity Investment Group, called the Family Wealth Club, because we got to learn about taxes and estates and setting up the estate and how to put in certain trusts, whether it's going to be a revocable trust, meaning you can go back and change it, or do you want to do an irrevocable trust where you can't change it and you want to set it up and which the structure on how the money gonna flow and who you gonna give paper to when you die. All of that stuff is eighth house related. When Neptune's involved, Saturn's involved. Saturn represents delay, so then it's a delay of money. Neptune represents deception. Somebody gonna steal your money. So when these two are in combination to your eighth house, you really need to get on top of your business. All right. All right. I don't deal with asteroids because I would keep going. It'd keep going more and more and more. I do look at Juno though, but I don't really rock with the asteroids too tough. But only reason I deal with Juno because it deals with a sensitive matter that we're very connected with called love partners. So I do look at Juno. But it's just something when I started, I told myself I didn't never really want to keep going out and adding external bodies to the dialogue, because we got to be, my opinion is we got to be very careful, because people will already see that they will give the planets dominion over their own conscious self, not knowing that, again, that this is a reflection of you. And if you missed that earlier dialogue I had, I said open up your skull and you're going to find out that you have 12 cranial nerves, and those cranial nerves are symbolic for the 12 zodiac signs, also the 12 bodily systems, including the immune system. You got 12 bodily systems. And so then the sun in the sky traveling through the 12 signs is the same as Jesus the Son rolling with the 12 disciples and whatnot. And again, Christ is buried at Golgotha, the place of the skull, because the 12 is really inside of you. So then in Egypt, you see the sun god Ra, he got a sun on top of his head. He the solar disk, because they knew that these cosmic bodies were personifications of us ourselves and whatnot. So I want to be very clear. So the reason why I don't really go out deeper into asteroids and all the other stuff is because sometimes people just tend to give that authority. They give that more credence than their own conscious willpower, and I can't stand that. That irks me, and that's a great crutch and whatnot. And it'll stop you from self-enlightenment and whatnot. And again, that's in the book of Job. That's why when Job was going through all of that stuff, the first thing Job did was like, hey, I denounced the day that I came out of the womb of my mother. Nigga, what your birthday got to do with anything? They was talking about a cosmic phenomenon. So I'll talk about that a lot with Job, because it'll tell you that he had 3 daughters that was going to visit his 7 sons, and each son had a day of the week where they'd have a dinner. And so I was like, those are 7 planets, the 7 visible days of the week. You know what I mean? I mean, 7 planets that's visible to the naked eye. So Monday is the sun, Tuesday is Mars, Moon Day is the moon, and Wednesday is Mercury, Thursday is Jupiter, Friday's Venus, Saturday's obvious Saturn, Sunday is the day of the sun, right? That's obvious. So they was like, oh, I get it. And so in Hebrew, we are taught that there are 7 letters that represent the planets. Then there's 12 letters that represent the 12 zodiac signs. And the remaining 3 letters are called the mother letters, which represent 3 elements. And the reason why it's not a 4th element, the earth, is because you are on the earth and you're earth yourself. And so the remaining 3 are the 3 daughters. So the 3 daughters, which are elements, are going inside of the sun's house. So each of the sun or the planet or the cosmic sign, because the planet rules the sign. So if you're dealing with the planet, you're already dealing with the sign off default. So you ain't never got to deal with the sign, because I'm dealing with the planet that represents the sign. The planet is the representative. He's the senator. The sign is sort of like his house where he live at. The house is his area of space where he live at. The planet is the player. The planet is the ball of energy that's in motion. That's the player. That's the God right there. You see what I'm saying? And so you can just really just deal with the planet itself and you straight. And so anyway, I got me on a little tangent with that, but to answer that, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't, because I want people to somehow bring it back into themselves and then understand that, wait a minute. A great insight I read definitely was there's 2 forces in the universe, chaos and order. And what determines which choice, which force is going to run your life is going to be based upon the decisions that we make. You see what I'm saying? And that's when I want to bring people back to the power. Because even when you get to the last sign, Neptune, Pisces, 12th house, the key word is imagination. So now we straight, we good. I don't have to really get into this. What do you want? This is what I want. And I'll need to have people around me that's in agreement to what I want, because we want the same thing. If I can get the agreement and we're committed to getting that, life is good. Okay? So we hope. All right. So Neptune in the 3rd in Leo. I think Neptune in the 3rd is he definitely got something to say. He probably could be a music writer, a movie writer. The 3rd house is the house of communication. Neptune wants spirit. It wants imagination. It wants movies. It wants music. It wants poetry. You know what I mean? So you got something to say. You got something to say. And sometimes that don't mean you have to say it to everybody. You have to be this world-renowned speaker. You can if you want to be. But saying simply means living your spiritual truth. Neptune is your spiritual truth. What is it? And sometimes, again, saying means doing. And so as long as you're living, that is your communication. All right. So yeah, write in the book. See, bam. See, what's your book about, if you don't mind? You ain't got to get the characters and none of that. But what's your book about? So the 3rd house, you got something to say. You definitely got You could do screenwrites for movies. Like you would be an excellent writer. And since you're writing the book, I'm telling you, you absolutely should register yourself with like the Writers Guild and things of that nature, or perhaps create your own. You know what I mean? But you got something profound to say. I bet your imagination is like crazy with Neptune in the third. You know what I mean? You definitely got sci-fi. You got everything inside of you. Neptune in the third is just crazy communication, man. So what if you had Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in the fifth? So them are the heavy players. King 87. Them are the heavy players. Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in the fifth translates to um, children, romance, love life, theater, creativity. You know what I mean? So you got all of those over there. What was it? Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune? Like you can't deny that. You know, Saturn on one aspect represents constriction and no. So you may not have children right now because Saturn's energy. All right, so Uranus can represent bright children. Different. You gotta watch Uranus. Uranus is unpredictable, man. Could be retard. And that's not to diss or anything, but it could mean mentally challenged. You know what I'm saying? Because Uranus thinks different. So it will appear to be mentally challenged, but it could be really a genius in their own right, waiting to explode, right? And Neptune, of course, is what we've been talking about all day. So if you have children, man, then it's those are some heavy planets, man. You gotta really concentrate on what type of being you want to bring into this reality, and that's a conversation we can have maybe on the next one. You know what I mean? Dealing with aligning our thoughts up with the cosmic vibration. Because see, one thing about this science is we now got the ability to go into the future, i.e., 9 months from now, the birth. So if we could know the cosmic energies of a birth in the future, then that needs to be incongruent to what I am. Like I listen, I was born with Uranus in the fifth, right? It's like, it could be rebellious children or, and I'm like, it's just one of my children and I'm just like, you special. Like, yeah, you're not like mentally special. You know what I'm saying? And so you're like, you touched. You know what I mean? So you gotta watch Uranus, man. Uranus in the fifth, you gotta watch that for real because that dude is unpredictable. But you can have it's heavy, man. It's because you got a contradiction. Saturn wants to constrict and control a little bit and put some order and structure to things, and Uranus wants to break out and rebel. But as long as you're true to yourself and you know what your ideals are, you know what your goals are as it pertains to children and your creativity and spirituality, then everything is great. So you just got to know what the high side is and make plans as it pertains to those things. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, Neptune in the ninth, long distance travel, ritualistic aspects, spiritual teachings. Yeah, I would say that Neptune in the ninth. Neptune in the ninth definitely denotes that you could travel somewhere and you can be deceived, but you can also, the high side would be you would go to India and meet a guru, and the guru will give you some great information. You know what I mean? So the ninth house is Hajj. The ninth house is where you go make your spiritual journeys and you travel and Neptune and spirit. You know what I mean? So that's a great one. That's a good one. You know what I mean? For sure. Yeah, Mars, Neptune, Venus rising, part of fortune. Oh shoot, man. I like the part Mars, Neptune, Venus rising. Is all of that in Libra? And so Mars, Neptune, and Venus, right, all in Libra. If all that's in Libra, man, that's great. I mean, that we talking about partnerships, which is in business. That's my favorite thing. Like that's my Like literally, I got a 3-drop system the way I think in business. So I call it PMS, which is partnership management and strategy. Um, and partnership is first, and that's Libra. And so when I look at the zodiacal wheel and order of creation, Libra being number 7, Libra was the first sign that decided to share with people and to partner with people, because the first 6, Aries through Virgo, they're not, they're more personal. The second 6 are a reflection, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna say the higher octave of the first 6. So they're a reflection. So Libra comes to share in partnerships, whereas opposite Aries wants to be about the self. Scorpio says this is about joint finances, whereas its opposite Taurus says, no, these are my possessions and my money. Scorpio says, no, we want to share this because we have sex together and we share money. So that's Scorpio. The 9th house says, hey, Gemini, just don't learn the literal stuff. Be willing to expand and learn philosophies and travel outside of your country. Don't do short-term travel, Gemini, and stay in your country. Travel abroad. That's Sagittarius. Cancer is more of a home energy, and Capricorn says, hey, I'm about career. Come outside of the house. You know what I mean? Be ambitious and let's have some goals outside of your house. Aquarius says to Leo, hey, I know you think it's all about you and your creativity and all your light, but think about humanity and think about friends, right? Put groups of people together. And then Pisces is, of course, the seal of the will that says, hey, I will sacrifice. And I mean this, I think nobody loves deeper to a degree than Aquarius and Pisces, because they truly understand partnership. because Pisces says, hey, I'll sacrifice myself and I'll die for you. Go ahead, it's cool. I'll just die. You can live. Right? Like, nobody does that. And so to double back to your question with Libra, if all that's in Libra, then look at Mars as your masculine force, what's driving you. You know what I mean? Mars is driving you. Neptune is giving you that spiritual perception of what you're looking for. Venus is at home. So it's just a double emphasis on relationships. And so Mars and Venus is the prince and the princess. They're not the king and queen, they're the prince and the princess. So when these two are closely together, then that's one aspect that I like to look for to show me that your male and female energies in your own psychology are balanced. Because if these energies are out of balance, then technically it's a guarantee you will attract people via relationships of the opposite sex that will not be in harmony with you, because your own energy is not in harmony with itself. So to have that in Libra shows me that you're pretty balanced. I was saying it's interesting that Libra represents balance. And so with all of that there, man, I will say, hey, be passionate about your relationships, be spiritual about your relationships, be in harmony with your relationships, and allow that passion and that drive within your unions to have the same spiritual accord, attend the same music festivals and things of that nature. And that's some great energy for you, man. What time is it, North? I see it is 2:40. I'll get it to about 2:45. All right. Yeah, progression is dope, man. I love progression. Progression is just dope. Progression is just like, the soul continues to evolve. It's a mirror of who you are now, but you're also still carrying the natal imprint. So you're still you, but you're not personality-wise, hopefully, to a degree. You've matured some and you've just grown to another point in your life. So progressions are interesting. The outer planets don't really move too tough. In progressions, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm only looking for a few things. The main thing I'm looking for is any house at 28, 29, and 0 degrees. Because if it is, then these are critical points, especially 29 and 0. And so hypothetically, let's say if your house, the 2nd and the 8th house are at 29 degrees of any zodiac sign, that year or within the year tops is going to progress to 0, which is a new beginning. When anything is at 29 degrees in the progress chart, the houses, this represents an area in your life that's coming to some type of closing and a new beginning is about to open up. So it's usually some pressure right there. So if the 7th house cusp is at 29 degrees, you can bet your ass you're about to go through a breakup. Or something's going to happen where you're definitely thinking about it and you're going to have to kind of revise it. Right? And also, like same with the money or the home axis, the 4th house and the 10th house, which in the chart it looked like 12 and 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock at the bottom representing your home life, 12 o'clock at the top representing your career life. If that's at 29 degrees, you about to move. And 9 times out of 10, when you move, you usually change jobs. Because usually sometimes that's the cause of the move. So they're connected. So I'm looking for houses on critical degrees. I'm looking for if you're looking for your sun to be at a critical degree. And also note that if the moon progresses to 15 degrees Leo, then this could be an indicator of some type of cardiac issue. So be careful of make sure you're in shape and your cardio game is tight, because it's been noted that the moon progressed to 15 degrees Leo is cardiac issues. All right, man. I got anything else? Did I miss anybody? Yeah. You got it, True Living. You got it. Neptune in the 4th, trine Pluto in the 2nd. I don't know. Yeah, no. I don't know. I think I got a little time though. Neptune in the 4th, trine something in the 2nd. The 4th, I think that would be a sextile by house placement. I think it's going to be an impossibility for that to be 120 degrees. However, Neptune, what was that? Neptune in the 4th and the 2nd. Let's just deal with the 4th and the 2nd. Neptune in the 4th is a spiritual ancestor. And so I'm going to tell you, on the highest level of spirituality, man, you will have the ability to psychically, spiritually communicate with people who have crossed over. Usually they're going to be in your family line, which somebody has some type of communication for you. Somebody got a spiritual gift in your family that you inherited. This is people who cross over. You can kind of assist them if you wanted to, but it's definitely somebody in your life, in your family, in your lineage. Like for me, it's my great grandmother. Like that's the one that was like, hey, when she requested me as a little peewee to come in the room when she was making transition and asked me, did I see a light in the corner? And I said, I saw it. And she told my mom she'll always be with me. So, you would have that type of ability with some type of ancestor that will literally watch over you for sure. All right. So I don't even get into that unless people got 4th house markers. Because a lot of stuff just ain't for everybody anyway. You know what I mean? But if you got that marker, it's my responsibility to tell you. So on the highest, man, there's some type of spiritual ancestral communications for sure. And the 2nd house connected to your 2nd house is going to deal with finances. You see what I'm saying? And so you got to marry the home life. The 4th house could be real estate as well. And the 2nd house has a connotation with real estate and money. But again, you want to make sure that Neptunian principle of honesty, spirituality, being able to see people for who they really are is on the up and up, and it's good. If it's connection with the moon, then it could be obviously some type of woman that can assist you in real estate endeavors, or if you're more in the spiritual type, they can assist you more in the spiritual arena. All right. All right, man. So I got to go get ready to pick up my son. But, man, nice build. Do me a favor, y'all. Click the thumbs up button. I really appreciate this. It looked like this time is a good time, man. Everybody kind of free and whatnot. But, hey, I got a free webinar coming up this Sunday. A free webinar strictly on business, though. It's Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go over to theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com, theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com. Click on newsletter. Just drop your email off over there, and you'll be good. I'm gonna send you an email. Sunday, like at 7:30, 30 minutes before start time. It's gonna have the link and the phone number to call in. But we really about to amp it up and get into this family business, man. We need to be networking with each other and empowering each other. So we always be hearing about, hey, we spend money with each other, you know, we can make it, or the black community, the dollar leaves and all of that stuff. But I'm just talking about creating a network where we can share in deal flow. And that's my thing. Aquarius likes to share. That's friendships and whatnot. You can get a Zodiac shirt from myzodiacshirts.com, myzodiacshirts.com. But, you know, if y'all know, you've been paying attention to me, I've branched off into real estate and really having a ball and just really getting started. This will be like year number 2 coming up shortly. But I want to be able to share some of this deal flow with y'all, man, because like right now, honest to God, I got a deal and I'm gonna show it in the webinar. You know, lady, you know, my lender was just like, hey, here's a deal in Indianapolis. You know, you can sell the house for $280. You would make $90,000 in profit, and you know, just bring $15,000 to the closing table. I want to be able to share those kind of deals with y'all and say, hey, here's a deal. Who want to go in with me on this 15? Or fuck it, I'm cool. Y'all, somebody else can do it. Simon, you got it. Who else got it? You know, y'all can go in and y'all can do the deal together. But we should be able to tackle these type of opportunities because, and I'm going to show in the webinar, in the actual report, because they sent, see, remember, I got a hard money lender that'll say, hey, we'll lend you the money. We just got, you know, it's a higher percentage rate because you ain't going to the bank. But they send an appraiser out to the property to value the property to make sure they, you know, that this is a profitable deal. And they got to give their analysis of the property. They get their analysis of the property, man. One of the dudes said, listen, man, this house, sell it for like $335. We was going to make $90K off of it, selling it at $280. So when we go up $30,000-$40,000, like, come on, man, we talking about now $120,000, $130,000 in profit margin. These are the kind of deals that'll change your life. So if you into this real estate thing, and I would suggest looking to Maxwell on a wholesale tip, because that's something that's different that can get you some cash without you. The only cash you can come out your pocket is for like postcards and stuff like that, little stuff, you know, bandit signs, we buy houses, stuff like that, little stuff. You know what I mean? Less than $1,000 to get started. You know what I mean? I like Maxwell information. But he got this saying, and he says, listen, you're only one deal away. And I so agree with that, and I understand it, because being a part of real estate transactions, like these properties, $90,000 profit margin, $60,000. And being a part of that, where you get one of those where you can leverage, and you may not start right there, but if you can be a part of it and you got $5,000 off of that, and then next thing you know, you do it again, now you're getting a $10,000 paycheck. Like, what happens when you got a $60,000 check, a $100,000 check? These are the kind of deals that will change our financial well-being. And so I believe that the water pouring to the earth is information and whatnot. And I just want to share the information, because we're in the information age. I just want to share the information of the things that work for me in my life, that's changing my life and other people's lives who are teaching me, and people who are going for the journey. So join this free webinar again, theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com. Go to the newsletter page and just drop your email off. All right. And I got you. All right. So I'll see y'all next time. Peace.